I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go, that will be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And we will listen to Cosmic Chronicle, the podcast that follows two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, who chronicle their journey through Brandon Sanderson's Cosmic series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling Mistborn, the Well of Ascension, chapters 39 through 43. So now, let's throw it over to the host of Cosmic Chronicles. This is Joe. Thank you, Joe. Welcome, everyone, to the show that they just told you about. I am Joe, and once again, I'm joined by Justin and Sheta. How are you two doing?
Doing
really
today.
Sounded like there was going to be... Oh, okay. I'm doing. That's for sure.
I'm good.
Thank you. Very, very in-depth and informative.
Hey, you got to ask more specifically if you want some in-depth, informative stuff.
All right.
Gotta pay.
All right. How much porn have you looked at in the past week?
Well, anyways, moving on.
All right. Okay.
It's like, I draw my own porn.
That doesn't count.
That would just be weird.
Yeah, I don't need porn anymore. I draw my own.
What a great high-class way to start the podcast.
Please don't clip that out of context.
Yeah, we don't have our inspiration points yet.
Okay, well, so this week I decided to change things up. Instead of asking questions about random stuff, last week we had talked about, Sheta had asked if Brandon Sanderson liked video games, and I said, oh yeah, he had put a list out of like his top 10 favorite video games. So I found that list, so instead I will just go over that, because there's really not a different part of the podcast where I can just do that. So we'll just go over that and hear your thoughts.
Well, you can just skip one of the chapters to do that.
Yeah, we can just skip the last chapter we read today. Nothing
Exactly. We don't need that chapter.
All right, so he did this list in 2020, and
okay, cool.
Part of his thing was that he would only include one video game from a series on there, so that way it's not like all Final Fantasy or that.
Yeah.
So we'll start with number 10. He said was Katamari Damacy. It's one I've never heard of.
This off to I have no idea what we're talking about start.
Did you do any research about, like, what kind of game that is?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing it right now.
It's a puzzle game. Third-person puzzle
PlayStation.
Action game. PS2,
PlayStation
2004.
All right.
A diminutive prince on a mission to rebuild the stars, constellations, and the moon.
All right. Well, we don't need to go too much into it, so let's just continue on our list. Instead of going through a
I gotta
Wikipedia
understand
page.
the game to understand the man.
Well, I think you'll have heard of the rest of the games. Number 9 is Undertale.
Oh, cute.
Haven't played it, but I know that was a huge one.
Yep. He talks about how he liked the story and how everything was.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Number 8, Fallout New Vegas.
Hell yeah, there we go. Man of taste. Only picking one Fallout, he picks that one. That is the correct answer.
Well, he did say he also really liked 1 and 2, but Fallout New Vegas just beat it by a little bit.
Yes, but he didn't pick 76. That's what matters here.
Yeah.
Was that out in 2020?
I don't know.
This battle, I believe it'd be.
He does mention, like, in his list that he doesn't do too much, like, multiplayer stuff, so most of it based off, like, the one-player story.
Yeah, neither do a lot of Fallout fans. That was a bad fucking idea.
I just mean overall in video games. So because of that, he's not going to have the MMO attempt.
Oh, you think that's an MMO? Oh, how sad.
Wait, it's not?
I mean, there's like 10 other players on the map you never see. I don't know that I'd call that an MMO. More like some asshole invades what you're trying to do every now and then, the game.
Everyone likes those games.
You see something interesting, walk up, it's somebody's stupid fucking fort they made. And they're not even there. How fun.
Alright, number 7 on its list. Super Mario World.
Oh, nice.
Which one is that? Is that the newer one they made?
That's Super Nintendo.
Oh, okay, that's the older one then.
Yeah.
Classic.
And he also put in a little fun story about how, when he was 11, he flew by himself to visit his uncle in Salt Lake City. Before he went out there, his dad gave him $20 and told him that he had to pay for his own meals while he was out there. But his uncle's like, no, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Before Brandon left, he wanted to just give the money to his uncle. He's like, well, when I get home, my dad's just gonna take it back. So instead, his uncle brought him to a mall and had him buy a Nintendo Entertainment System.
Wow.
$20?
$200.
Oh, I don't know why I heard 20, and I was trying to imagine how, like, pay for your own meals and be smart about it, boy.
All right, so next will be number 7 is The Curse of Monkey Island. I haven't played it, but I have heard a bunch of stuff about it.
Yeah, those are so popular.
Number 6 is Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm. And he's all over the place. I'm surprised these aren't from just one era.
Yeah. In his little description, he does say that he never thought anything would unseat Link to the Past, but then Breath of the Wild did it.
Wow.
Number 5 would be Halo 2.
Yeah. Man, that came out of nowhere. Jesus.
That one does have a good story with Arbiter's storyline and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Halo 2 is awesome. Still haven't beaten Halo 3, though.
Well, the last Halo I played was 4. The story was all right.
Yeah, I could guess that.
All right,
Being
number
that the Halo. Yeah. Go on.
I just noticed this list does not have number 4 on there.
Because
So
number
skip-
4 is one of those adult Japanese games that, people would judge you quite a bit about if you played them.
So instead of just not leaving it on the list, you write on the list and just remove it.
Well, he's not going to
Censor it.
lie.
But anyways, number 3 is Final Fantasy X.
10, eh?
Yep. 10 has a pretty good story. My favorite Final Fantasy is 6, but I still enjoyed 10.
Yeah, but you don't usually hear people pick 10 as their ultimate favorite.
Yeah. I
That's
wonder
because
why.
so many people have only played 7.
I played...
Or 9. I hear a lot.
Yeah. No, nobody played 9. Did they?
I never hear...
I loved 9. I like 9
Whenever
a lot, but...
9's great,
It's
but
always-
whenever everyone...
Yeah, it's always 7, yeah.
Yeah, whenever they say something, they always say Final Fantasy 7. That's why
Let's be
every
fair.
single...
7 is my favorite. I love the vibe of that game so goddamn much.
Well, how many other ones have you played?
I played 7, 8, 9. Did not beat those ones. Started 10, but played... No, I watched my brother play 10. I've never played it myself. Nothing will beat 7 for me just because I love that creepy, corporate dystopian, used to be a fantasy world but been corrupted aesthetic so much.
That's the aesthetic of 6.
Yeah, but 7's got, Cloud and Tifa and Cat Sith and all that stuff. I don't know what you're talking about here.
Yeah, but 6 has Terra. And in 6, you can suplex a train.
Okay, that is quite tempting. Does 6 have the industrial feel to it, though?
Yes. Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
it?
that's the that's
Interesting.
the first one. Like the first 5 are all just like straight fantasy. That's the one where you start
Yeah.
adding some of that industry. I mean, the game starts with 2 people riding mechs.
Oh, then I may have to give it a try.
Number 2 is Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, eh?
Hey, that's where he got Mistborn from.
No, Bloodborne came out after Mistborn, I'm pretty sure. Unless I'm remembering wrong.
Yeah, I think it did.
Again, I didn't know he's an actual gamer. Jesus Christ. This is he's playing
This is a
shit all the
pretty-
time.
A thorough list.
Yeah.
A very varied list, too.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 is Civilization 6.
Ah, shit, I was telling you you'd like those.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel very a kinship with Brandon Sanderson, so...
And then he did put some runner-ups on here. All right, so he says, runner-ups, The Elder Scrolls, with Morrowind being his favorite.
Never played it, started with Oblivion. I'm such a poser.
He has Mass Effect.
Hell yeah.
Ooh,
Did he say
yeah.
which one?
Well, he said he's only played the first one, which is why he doesn't have it
Oh.
on the list, because he felt like he should have played more. That way he can judge it better.
Brandon
Sure.
Sanderson, since I know you listen to every podcast your name is on, go play Mass Effect 2 right now.
The exact thing that he wrote was he's waiting for a remaster to try it.
A
Yeah,
remaster's out. It came out by 2020.
No excuses.
I'm
thought
playing
remasters
it
came
right
out
now.
last year.
No, I don't think so.
I thought
Let's
that just
see.
came out.
I don't think it came out in 2022. I think it came out like just 5 years ago.
It came
I don't
out
know
in
when it came out.
2021.
Okay, there you go.
So yeah, that's still before this. This list is still before that.
Then maybe he has played it already.
I hope so.
All right. Bioshock Infinite's on his thing,
Ooh, Bioshock, nice.
but he says that's the only one he played. He tried the first
Aw.
run, but it didn't click for him.
Oh man.
What? Wow, I've never heard that before.
He has Doom,
Good. Which one?
and I think these might just be series that he's putting on here
Yeah.
because these are runner-ups. But he does say one of his claims to fame for himself is that he beat Doom 2 with only the chainsaw.
Jesus Christ. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Now that's making me want to give that a try. Did he say what difficulty he was on?
No. He did say earlier that Halo 2 was the only one he beat on Legendary.
Okay.
All right, another game, Symphony of the Night, which is a Castlevania game.
Oh yeah, it is.
He has The Witcher, but he says he's only really played the third game.
I've only played the second.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, yeah. I've heard nothing but raving reviews about that game. Never tried it.
X-Wing.
X-Wing.
It's probably gonna be one of the random Star Wars games. He said he played as a kid, but as an adult, it doesn't hold up well enough to be in the top 10.
It's like you putting pod racing on there, Justin.
Pod racing would not go in my top 10 games.
All right, and then the next runner-up was a game called Braid, which I'd never heard of.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
The last Wise Books 1 and 2. Wise, it's like YS, Books 1 and 2.
No, I've never heard of that either.
Sounds very nerdy.
So, there you go. So, now you know a little bit about Bison's video game tastes, and you can see how well you agree with him on those.
Well, he had my two favorite game series on there, so I can't complain.
All right, so now let's leave Brandon Sanderson's video game taste and instead move over to his books with Mistborn, The Well of Ascension.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us his favorite books. I really wanted to hear that.
Yeah, I thought that too.
But, so we'll do this week. So we have this week's episode to go through, but we'll start by recapping last week's episode. And it's Sheta's turn to give us the quick recap of last week's episode.
Yes,
All
a
right.
quick one, as she often does.
I get it, okay. This is me giving a freaking 8th grade book report and my teacher freaking cutting me off because it was too long. Yeah.
So you're saying there's a pattern of this shit, huh?
Yeah, I just want to be thorough, but then it's just really long-winded and not that good. So, last week, we started with Sazed, ex-obligator Norden helping Elend trying to figure out how to win the crown back for himself. Zane attacks Vin, like seriously, to try to find out if she has no ATM in. He finds out that she doesn't. Then Vin gets all dressed up, and her and Elend go meet Cett. They find out he's kind of a dick. They talk about Breeze and how he manipulated him to come into the war, and he's kind of pissed about it. They also tell him they don't have ATM. He ends up not killing them and letting them go back. Then Sazed, Breeze, and Tindwyl are kind of helping the refugees from the Colossus attack that Cett sent their way after taking all the able-bodied men. They're kind of helping them. Then we follow Breeze.
You mean Straff?
Is it Straff? Oh, it is Straff.
Yeah.
Yes, Straff does that. Breeze and Clubs chill out and hang out, and they have a drink to Kelsier. And Breeze is not that bad of a guy, and he's not a rapist. Vin follows Demu, who she has been suspecting of being the Khandra, finds out he's actually in the Church of the Survivor, so probably not the Khandra. Then Tindwyl and Sazed have a cozy study session in which they confess their love for each other. Finally, the assembly votes for King. Elend joins the Church of the Survivor without telling Vin, but he thinks it'll give him an edge. But before they can vote, they are attacked by assassins. Vin kills them all, finally headbutting the last guy, horrifying Elend, and then she passes out. Vin is out of commission, but the vote continues, with the merchants unexpectedly voting for Penrod, And then a couple people who were voting for Cett ask if they can change their vote. No one knows the answer but Elend and Norden. Norden's like, I'm not going to say anything. But Elend says they can change their vote. So the couple people change it to Penrod, and Elend loses the crown. And that's the end of those chapters. Was that short enough? Or was it too long?
Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, you didn't give any extraneous information.
Okay.
Only thing I'm surprised by is that Sheta did not talk about how Zane asked Vin to come with him and leave.
I didn't want to indulge. But yes, sorry, I forgot about that part. I mean, yeah, Zane asked Vin to go with him. Like, let's just get away from here, just you and me. And Vin's like, I can't. I'm in love with your brother. Okay, that's happened.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
That happened.
All right, so now, so this week we did some chapters, 39 through 43. So before we dive into that, I'll just ask you, what are your thoughts about how these chapters were?
I really like them.
Yeah, it's interesting that he does seem to want to start out each part with some big stuff, so it's not just like it arbitrarily cut here, but like, things actually do start changing and happening in a different direction than they were kind of acting like they were happening before. So I find that quite interesting.
Yeah, a lot of big moves, and I kind of was expecting it because that's what happened in the other books, but usually the last couple chapters, like a lot of stuff changes or swings the different way and stuff like that. So, or we get a big piece of information.
All right, so we'll just dive into these chapters then, because this is starting part 4, which is called Knives. Chapter 39. I know your argument. We speak of the anticipation, of things foretold, of promises made by our greatest prophets of old. Of course, the hero of ages will fit the prophecies. He will fit them perfectly. That's the idea. So we begin the chapter, and Straff is riding out at night on his horse, along with Zane, who is walking with him, and about 50 troops. And Straff is upset that the attack from his Almancers that Zane had set up wound up failing. And Straff feels like Zane did it on purpose. And Straff thinks about how Zane is growing more unpredictable, and Straff doesn't like having to rely on Zane. Straff also worries that Vin will come at him in retaliation for the attack. And Straff still doesn't want to take the city until Vin is gone. And Zane tells him that soon Straff will not have to worry about Vin. And then Penrod shows up, and he talks with Straff. Penrod agrees to give the city over to Straff, and in return, the merchants agreed to this, so that way they could keep their titles. They did not trust Cett. Penrod's talking to Straff. Penrod does mention that Elend's not a fool, but just an idealist. And Straff says that he hopes that this changeover in power will result in 0 deaths. He also might let Penrod stay as king, while Straff will set himself up as an emperor. Penrod will need to give Straff the ATM in exchange for this, though. Penrod tells Straff that Vin is incapacitated after the attack. Straff contemplates attacking the city, but he's still worried about Vin. After Penrod leaves, Zane asks if he will really give them the ATM. And Straff says that he has to, because Penrod's not going to have the military might to protect it. And Zane goes like, oh, what time is it? And then after Straff answers, Zane's like, oh, then it should be kicking in about now. And then Straff, at that moment, begins to feel the effects of poison. But he tries to act calm as he rides back to his camp. And then he rides his horse faster and faster as he worries about it more and can feel the poison going into him. While he's getting up to his camp, there's a guard that's like, hey, stop! Oh, it's just Straff. Okay. But then Straff still runs him because he was in his way for a split second. And then once Straff gets into camp, he yells again for Amaranta. She comes into his tent and she gives him an antidote. And Straff thinks about how Zane's failure with the Alamancers proves that he cannot be trusted anymore. Zane has to die. And that's that chapter.
Just when I thought Straff couldn't get any lamer, this chapter happened. He thinks he can be an emperor, which I'm like, I don't think so. He's still doing his weird thing where he's pretending poison doesn't affect him. I don't know why he's doing that still. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Sorry.
He runs down
This is
his
so
own
tragic.
man for virtually no reason.
Wait, does he kill that guy?
Yeah, he runs him over
Oh my
with his
gosh.
horse. He looks like he's like freaking out. Like, to do this thing where you pretend it doesn't affect you would be fine if you like just badassingly walked back and got the medicine, but he's like panicking and crying in his head. He's relying on people who are trying to kill him and have no loyalty to him. Like, he's legit relying on them. It's just he's so, and then thinking things like, it took me so long to make that army of Allomancers. It was fun work, yes, but it was a long time. Like, oh my god, what a loser.
It was pleasurable, sure.
Yeah,
Like,
oh my god.
You're such
what
a loser.
a fucking loser.
This part, every time they describe him, like, panicking to get cured, it's so funny. Like, I imagine it like Squidward panicking like right after he leaves SpongeBob, you know, like,
yeah, when he's like, everything's fine. Okay, like, no, when he's like, I didn't even like that Krabby Patty, that part, right?
Yeah.
And then they toss it to the side and he just holds out long enough to run back. That's a good apt comparison, I think.
So you're telling me that you're not Team Straff.
Team Straff for what?
For the win.
For who wins the upcoming war thing.
Oh no, I'd love to see him try to be emperor. That sounds hilarious to me.
And here we also found out why all the merchants switched to voting for Penrod instead of Cett.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to discuss about this little chapter? Okay, on to chapter 40. And yet, something about all this seems so convenient. It felt almost as if we constructed a hero with our prophecies, rather than allowing one to arise naturally. This was the word I had. The thing that should have given me pause when my brethren came to me, finally willing to believe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or I think it was Tindwyl, or was it Sazed? One of the two saying that before the last chapter.
Saying what?
Saying that a prophecy is more of just a hope, you know.
That was Orseer.
You make it, yeah, Orseer, there you go.
Alright, so chapter begins, and Vin wakes up, and Elend is sitting in the room as well. He smiles at her while Vin searches his face, looking for any hints of horror, disgust, terror, or shock. Vin asks why he waited for her, and he tells her that he just wanted to be near her.
Vin notices that he is not wearing his white uniform, and Elend confirms to her that Penrod is now king.
And Vin lays her hand on his arm, and he flinches, very slightly, but she still notices. And she knows that he has finally seen who she truly is. He'd fallen in love with a lie. And Vin can hear Reen's voice telling her that Elend is betraying her, and that everyone will leave her eventually. Elend talks about how he knew that being elected king was a long shot, but he still had hope. Now he either needs to admit his faith in them was wrong, or trust in their decision to pick someone else.
Vin thinks about the fact that this is why she loved Elend. He is an honest and good person.
A man who would rather believe that the men who just dethroned him were simply trying to do the right thing. Next, asks Elend about Orseer, and Elend tells her that he's fine. He's a Khandra, so broken bones mean nothing to him. And he's currently digesting a new body. But Vin still feels bad about it because she knows that Orseer still can feel pain. Then Vin asks about the armies, and Elend says that Cett is still in Keep Hasting, and that Straff has not done anything yet. And Elend feels like those Allomancer assassins are too blatant to be Straff and that it isn't him. And Vin tells Elend that she thought she recognized one of them. When he's like, which one? The one that I exploded. But she does not know from where she recognized. And then Elend gives Vin some broth from Sazed, which he let her know that it is drugged in order to put her to sleep. And Elend leaves and Vin decides to drink the broth. Then a little bit later, Vin wakes up and Elend's still in his room. But in actuality, it's not Elend, it's Zane.
I can't believe that. I can really imagine how this part is shot. Where she thinks, oh, why is he standing in the shadows? And then he comes into the light, and it's not Elend.
Kind of makes me think of the scene from, like, The Crow. There's, like, in the shadows talking to the girl.
Ooh,
Might have been filmed after Brandon Lee died.
All sad. But Brandon Lee would have been a good Zane.
So next, Zane tells her that Straff did not send the assassins. He says that he had recognized one of them from Cett's entourage, and this clicks together in Vin's head. Like, the one that she had recognized, she had seen him posing as a servant when she had gone to Cett's dinner. Vin thinks about it and realizes that when the attack happened, only normal people had attacked Cett, while the Allomancers were all going after Elend. Zane tells Vin that Penrod has made a deal with Straff, And Vin believes that Cett had heard about this, so he set Allomancers to kill Elend and Penrod and have normal people attack him but fail. That way the assembly would be forced to choose Cett. Vin gets annoyed and wants to go out and kill Cett and Straff, but stops herself because that is Kelsier's way, not Elend's way. Zane says that he's not Elend. He will never be part of his world, and doesn't think he should be, but neither should Vin. He had seen Elend's face standing over Vin and saw the look in his eyes. Elend is pure, and that's what makes him different from Zane. And Zane gives Vin a bead of atium before leaving.
Oh, I thought that was so nice of him. He doesn't want her to die. It's like, what kind of presents does Ellen give Finn? Because that ATM was expensive.
Elend gives her love and comfort.
It's not a present.
Elend was the king of the city. I'm sure anything she wants she could have, besides atrium.
Exactly.
Well,
The one
actually,
thing
kind
a
of the
Mistborn would want.
actually him being king wound up being the opposite because she sold all her jewelry and stuff in order to
Yeah,
feed the
she had to
poor.
get rid of her jewelry.
Yeah.
I
Well,
would have
as
jewelry
we
made
know,
of ATM.
Sheta, as we know, every story tells you that the love interest you pick should be who can offer you the most material gifts. That is a classic way of telling these stories.
Whenever I play
like
video
presents.
games, that's how it always works. When you're
Yeah,
having to
that's what I
romance a
know
girl,
about.
you have to give her presents, and then her little meter in the corner goes up.
Yeah,
Mhm,
fuck
mhm.
that.
It's
I'll
true.
go with the Mass Effect style one where literally all you need to do is talk to them and then kill a bunch of people for them. Then they'll love you.
See, I feel like that'll work for Vin too.
All right.
But no, it's presents, Justin.
Yeah, Justin, you have not played enough Harvest Moon.
Mhm.
I've played... Yeah, no thank you. Just trying to get those dead or alive bitches to fucking accept gifts from me was already
say that
enough.
about them.
I'm not playing
Oh.
those kind of games. Sheta, go try to get one of them just to accept a gift you give them of a swimsuit for the collection you're trying to build. And then
But
tell me
Tina-
they're not horrible bitches.
Tina always likes my presents,
Well, Tina's not playable in Extreme 3.
which is BS. Just saying.
Yeah,
Sheta, you don't know true pain until somebody as nice as Kasumi has said, "No, I will not accept this gift from you."
Kasumi is number one girl. She can say no to whatever.
Yeah, but her thing is she's super nice.
Yeah, until you get her something dumb that she doesn't want.
She doesn't know
Hoping
what
to-
it is. It's wrapped.
No, I think the worst
Maybe
is
she
when
doesn't like you.
I think the worst is when you have, in order to complete your last mission, owner mode, you have to give them a black swimsuit. So you buy the black swimsuit, wrap it, which costs a bunch of fucking money, and you give it to them. They're like, no, I don't want it. And now the present's not wrapped anymore. You did not complete the mission. So now you need to spend another 30 grand to wrap the damn thing again to give it to them the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fuck that shit.
I feel like someone is trolling you with those kind of things.
That's what you do is you just keep giving them the presents at night and just send, because then they might just, if they just send it back to you, just keep sending it back to them. Eventually they'll stop sending it back to you. So next time you play as them, they'll have it in their collection.
Just like in real life, Sheta, ignore their wishes and keep stalking them.
I don't know if that'll work.
I think we're going off on a tangent that most people cannot follow.
Yes.
Back to this.
I don't know.
All right.
Our audience, maybe.
I don't
No
think
offense.
so.
I love you guys.
I don't know how
Nobody-
much crossover audience there is, honestly.
How many people are
Well-
playing DOA Extreme 3?
Or any games where you give gifts to romance somebody, you know?
No, these guys,
All right,
these viewers like political intrigue and action shit. They don't like all this foo-foo stuff.
Oh, they're here from the romance.
No, that's just you.
So later on, Orseer shows up to come and see Vin, and he is still in a dog's body, and he tells Vin that he has grown fond of these bones. Vin thanks Orseer for helping her, but says that he contradicted his contract by attacking a human. Orseer explains that he only attacked, but did not kill a human, so he technically did not break the contract. Vin asks him what if the human had fallen over and snapped his neck and died. Orseer answers that he would have gone back to his people and have been executed. And Vin notes that Kandra can be killed then. Orseer will not give her specifics on how. Vin asks why made the contract if soldiers can't kill them. And Arseer says that, humans still have Allomancers. And Vin asks if Allomancers can kill him, and he says no, they can't, and he wants to change the subject. Arseer begins to tell Vin about the origin of the Kandra. They did not exist before the Ascension. The Lord Ruler created them. And Vin asks how old Arseer is, and he says old, but not old enough to remember the Ascension. Arseer says if she was Lord Ruler, would she have created servants without building into them a way to control them? Vin thinks about how the Lord Ruler took the power of the Well of Ascension for himself, but it must have run out very quickly, and that's why he needed to create armies like the Kandra in order to conquer. And Vin thinks about how the Lord Ruler was much stronger with allomancy, and she has done similar things to him, like being able to pierce copper clouds. And Arseer says that Kandra were afraid of Mistborn, so maybe it is not because they can kill them, but something else. And Vin tries to soothe Arseer, but nothing happens. And she focuses and pushes, but still nothing happens. Then she decides to use Duralumin with her soothing. And when she does that, Arseer lets out a bestial yell. Vin apologizes and says she didn't mean to hurt him. Arseer says that he has said too much and tells her never to do that again. And that's the chapter.
Poor baby. I imagine it being like a little sad, hurt doggy sound, and I was really sad.
Yeah, which is such a sad noise.
I know. I was like, Vin, why you do that? I'm glad that Arseer likes the dog body, though.
Well, I think part of it is Vin is, her character, she's regressing a little bit. Like, this is the sort of thing she would have probably done right away at the beginning of the book. But then she grew a little bit closer to Arseer, but now with, she's getting a little bit more depressed recently, so now she's being like, oh, yeah, I'll do this, instead of asking.
I don't know. She's always tested stuff recklessly with this Duralumin stuff. Whenever, an idea crosses her mind, she immediately starts testing it, because she seems very curious about it. Because, a few times I'm like, Vin, don't just wildly test this stuff in the middle of nowhere, but she keeps doing it. It keeps having these crazy effects.
Yeah, she's like, I'll just eat it. I'll just try it right now. And I'm like,
yeah.
Dang, you could kill yourself.
And that goes back to the previous book, because she tried the same thing about how to beat the Lord Ruler, Just try it, see what happens.
Yeah. She's really brave in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I would not even do that. It's a good thing I'm not a Mistborn. She seems to want to know that.
Yeah, she seems to want to know the limits of these powers, too,
Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm the only one here that will...
Mm-hmm.
That could do it,
Yeah.
Or Arseer, though.
Anything else from this chapter you want to go over?
I like learning more about the Kandra and how Arseer is kind of really warming up to Vin. Their relationship's getting closer and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's acting totally different. It's interesting as we get to see his personality more. I, of course, like him more. But it's also interesting to see how much he was not showing of himself before, when he was Renew and stuff. I never would have expected that Lord Renew would become such a big character in this series.
I forget that too.
All right. So we will charge on forward into chapter 41, Epigraph. After that, I begin to see other problems. All right. So the chapter begins. Sazed and Tindwyl are studying. Goes over how Quan had found and trained Elend, but later changed his mind and tried to stop him from going to the well. Quan talks about how he is afraid that his plans will fail and of a doom brought by the deepness. If he had feared the deepness, then why would he oppose Elend, who was climbing to the Well of Ascension in order to defeat the deep? Sazed next how Quan has charged his nephew, Rashik, to make sure he gets chosen as a packman for Elend. Rashik hates Elend and Klenium, even though he had never met them. Rashik will either try to bring Elend the wrong direction. If this doesn't work, then Quan has tasked Rashik with killing Elend. Elend must not reach the Well of Ascension, for he must not be allowed to take the power for himself. Tindwyl feels like something is wrong. Quan tasked his nephew with stopping Elend from reaching the well because he was worried about Elend taking the power for himself. But if they look at Elend's logbook, that does not match Elend's personality at all. Quan has even called Elend a good man multiple times in the rubbing. Why would he send a man of wild temperament like Rashik to kill a good man? Quan writes several times about fearing the deepness, but then tries to foil the hope of stopping it. And then Rashik took the power for himself anyways. If Quan feared Elend of taking the power for himself, then why didn't he fear Rashik of doing this? Something dramatic must have happened that would make Quan turn against his friend. Something so frightening that he took a ridiculous chance by sending Rashik on an assassination attempt. Tindwyl and Sazed, they talk about the city and that it will soon fall, and Tindwyl says that it will be worse than the revolution a year. When a conqueror takes a city, many people die. Even if one army enters by the blessing of the assembly, then the other army will still attack. Then we cut over to Elend, and he's walking around the mansion, contemplating things, kind of moping a little bit. And he thinks about the Kolos army, and that he has not paid enough attention to that threat. They have not even sent an emissary to the city. And since the Kolos army has arrived and hasn't done anything, it's looking less and less like the Kolos will attack Cett or Straff. Elend finds Demu and asks when the next survivor rally is. Demu's surprised by this, but Elend says that he gave his word that he would join their cause. So he is joining their movement because it is important to the Ska, and he wants to know more about it. While walking around some more, Elend thinks about Vin, and that she has seemed different lately. Something about the way she looks at him and reacts to his affection. He thinks that it's because he is no longer king. He knows Vin's not...
They are a match made in heaven.
Yeah. It's so believable to read this whole section where they're both having these, distortions about why the other one might not like them. And when you hear from each other's
16 years old?
They're pretty young. But when you think about it from their perspective, it totally makes sense that they would think that. But when you hear from each other, it sounds so absurd, So it's really interesting to see that. It's interesting how people, whatever their worries are about themselves, they put that on the other person and assume they think the same thing.
Yeah, that's why communication's number one in a relationship, you guys. You gotta ask. You gotta talk.
Honestly, neither of them are terrific communicators in that way,
Wait, so Sheta, is communication number one, or is giving them a lot of presents number one?
And presents,
Sheta.
yeah. You communicate with presents.
Oh goodness. You're
episode,
giving people a pretty bad recipe
advice.
here. Do not follow her advice.
Well, if you communicate with me and give me presents, that's just perfect.
Okay.
That's all I ever
Sheta's
want.
relationship advice: just be perfect.
What?
That's all you have to do.
Not perfect.
I mean, her choice is Zane.
Be like Zane, the perfect man.
He has been straight with her the whole time.
He absolutely has not been straight with her the whole time.
We just saw him.
Lie in this chapter.
Did he lie? Did he lie?
Yes. Yes.
He told her that the Allomancers were from Cett.
Is that a lie though?
Yes, we know that.
We'll find out soon, Sheta.
I thought he's lying to Straff, not me.
No.
At that chapter, I thought he was lying to Straff, but in a little bit, we have it confirmed that he was lying to Vin.
Because we know him for a while, because they're Straff's Allomancers that are, that he created.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's true.
That then Zane hid them inside Cett's building. That way Vin would see them. So later she would think that Cett had set them.
Why you lying to me, Zane?
Because he's crazy. And he's out for himself.
Because he's trying to manipulate Vin into leaving with him.
It's not a good way to do a relationship.
So, Sheta's relationship advice. Be incredibly manipulative.
Yeah, just lie to me so good, I can't tell.
Alright, so back to Elend thinking about everything. Yeah, so he thinks that, Vin doesn't like him because he's no longer king. And he knows Vin's not shallow like that. But how could she not react to his colossal failure? And he had seen her finally fight as an Allomancer, and she was amazing. How can someone like her love a man like him, who got deposed by the very laws he wrote?
That was really interesting to see from his perspective why he was perturbed by what had happened and stuff. And of course she interprets it, with her fears. I really enjoyed getting to see each of their perspectives about their own worries and fears. Found it very interesting.
So then Elend stops into Sazed's room, and when he goes in, he finds Sazed and Tindwyl sitting. Tindwyl has her hand on Sazed's hand.
Oh! Sorry.
Why do you sound horrified?
It's like, she has her hand on his what? On his hand?
Yes.
Okay. Whew. It's awkward.
What are you, their parents? What are you doing there?
Yeah, 5 feet apart. Don't touch each other.
I think you can stop doing that after one of them has 20 kids.
Yeah, but Sazed is a virgin.
And
Oh
he's gonna
god, don't
stay
pick
that
on the
way.
poor guy, shit.
The hand holding is pretty crazy for him.
What is this, a Japanese high school anime?
Yeah.
Elend tells them about how he could have kept the throne by lying about the laws at the end, and asked if he was foolish to do so. Tindwyl said he was foolish, but that is not why he lost the throne. He lost because he wouldn't command his armies to secure the city, gave the assembly too much power, and did not employ assassins or other forms of pressure. He lost the throne because he's a good man.
Backhanded compliment there, Jesus.
Sazed says that Elend did the right thing for himself. A different man could have lied, but that would have changed who Elend is as a person. He needs to follow his conscience and let Providence fill in the holes. Elend and Sazed a little bit about religion, and Sazed says that he believes in all of the religions that he preaches. Tindwyl says that she believes that Elend handled this the wrong way, but he was true to his convictions, which is a regal attribute. Elend asks what others would have done about this current situation, but Tindwyl says that this would have never happened. They wouldn't have lost their title. Elend asks if the title is what it is all about, and he thinks about how Tindwyl had earlier said that a good king is a man that is trusted by the people and deserves that trust. So he goes back to his room and he decides that he won't go back to the way he was. He goes to his closets where his white uniforms are.
Then he gears up like in a superhero montage with his king outfit, right?
Not how I'd do it. I was very glad that he's, changed for the better in these ways. Because, when he's realizing the title actually doesn't mean that much for what's going to happen, I was very interested in that. Because he could theoretically still just be the king. There's no reason you wouldn't, because it's not some assembly that decides, it's the armies, basically. And, of course, the same people who did the revolution, basically,
I think he
nothing
discovered
deep there.
He discovered what every charitable person has ever discovered. Like, I don't have to do the boring stuff. I could just help people with my money or by volunteering. Like, I don't have to be president to do that.
Be president.
Yeah.
And Justin, I would think that, Elend going to the people or the armies to stay king. I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, no, not to stay king. That's not his goal. I mean more, he's not going to be like, let's take over this kingdom again. No, he's not going to do that. That would be horrible. More like, if the people say he's the king, then he's the king. That's how it works, The king is whoever everyone follows. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think that's his goal, but I think that could come of this.
Well, Straff's out there being like, I'll be emperor. So Elend could just be like, I'll be emperor and just oversee everything.
Yeah, everyone can say they're emperor, but that's what I mean. You be emperor by actually... People need to either be afraid of you or respect you, They need some reason to follow you.
I was like, what was it? What is it where everyone was like, I'm king now? No, I'm king now.
Game of Thrones.
What book was it where they all did that?
The one where it's in the title of the first book.
Well, the second book's where everyone's calling themselves king.
Yeah, but Game of Thrones is the title that really sets the precedent for what the story's about.
Yeah.
That would be the name of the fight.
Anything else from this chapter you two wanted to discuss?
No.
Not I.
Alright, so we're going on to 42. Some of you know of my fabled memory. It is true. I need not a ferochemist metal mind to memorize a sheet of words in an instant. Alright, so we begin, and Elend and Demu are going over ways to help the citizens out with the cold weather that is hitting the city. Because it's winter now. Elend suggests to have the people move out of the former noble houses that they're currently living in and move into the Scott tenements. Because those were built to have a single hearth to warm everything up, as opposed to individually heated rooms. He's gained help from off-duty soldiers, including Gorodel. Where for those who do not remember, Gorodel from the last book, that's the guy where when Vin went up to the Lord Ruler's mansion at the end, she convinced him to leave, he ripped off the patch, and then he later led Elend back to it.
I thought it was so funny that the book basically says those words because they know I have no idea who the fuck Gorodel is.
It's me, Gorodel.
It's like, what? The
I
fuck
like
is
that
a
character.
Gorodel? Yeah, I like the character too. but I didn't
And gave
remember
us
him.
his name because, yeah.
And he informs Elend that he has gone through the buildings and the furniture and pretty much all of them has been ransacked over the past year, but there are still wooden walls up inside them. So Elend thinks about taking down these walls and using them for fire. If Penrod decides to stop them, then they should listen because he's king. But Elend doubts that will happen because Penrod is too focused on passing a law in order to turn the city over to. And then next Felt comes in. And once again, for those who don't remember, Felt was in the last book. He was like the top venture house spy, and he's the one that told Elend the report. Like, yeah, we followed Vin afterwards. She went to this hideout, and we believe it's like a ska.
Oh, yeah. Good old
We believe
Felt.
it's a
Now I
ska.
remember.
He stayed with Ellen all this time? Interesting.
Yeah. Yep, so.
He had to be Ellen's
He's
spy,
the
right? Because he
Condra.
didn't tell Straff about him, right? About Vin.
Well, he was technically Straff's spy, because Elend asked Straff
I see.
in order
I
to
get
use,
you.
like, some of his spies.
I guess Straff never rescinded that order.
Gosh.
Elend gets a report from Felt about what Felt had found out about the poison, food, and wells. It's not poisoned by people mixed in with refugees. And, he had checked with the pass walls, but they have been more cautious lately. Pass walls are just people who are secretly sneaking people in and out of the city. And Felt checked the river, and there are still grates on them. But when you checked out the grates, they have locks on them underwater. So people had removed the grates and then put locks on them. So that way they can enter and leave whenever they want. So Elend tells them to put new locks on the grates instead of changing the grates and post a watch. So that way they can catch a poisoner when he is trying to get in. Because he'll get up there, he'll try to take the locks off, but they won't work because they're not his. And then Damu brings in a Scot named Larn. For those of you who don't know, Larn,
Oh my god.
first appearance is right here.
Oh, come on! You had me. I totally believed you, you bastard.
So Damu brings in a Ska named Larn, who has a different theory on who is poisoning the wells. He says that it must be an Inquisitor. He had seen one sneaking around near the squares of the city. And, Larn had tried to tell the king, Penrod, but he got turned away, so he came to Damu instead. And he adds that he had heard from other Ska that they had also seen Inquisitor hanging around Creedic Shaw. And Elend orders some of his personal guard to watch those areas. And then Ham arrives, and Elend thinks about how Ham has changed. Running the city and dealing with all this has changed him.
Sheta, I bet that section triggered you off with your theories, yeah?
There were a few sections that did that. I still think, a tiny part of me is burning the, Ham is the Condra. So, I still think that.
A tiny
Too
part?
many
What's the
excerpts.
larger part?
Okay, well, right now he's my main suspect. So, yeah, he's still suspect number 1 for me.
Man, I am out. I've got no theories. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ham says that he doesn't know when Cett's army will attack. He realizes why Cett came into the city. If Straff attacks the city, then Cett's army will attack Straff and wind up forcing itself into an alliance with Luthadel. Gamble took when he came inside. He was desperate for some reason. Elend asks Ham if he's feeling a little insane at the moment. So then the two of them, they leave the city through one of the pass walls. Because Elend is going to head into the Koloss army.
He wasn't kidding about that feeling a little insane thing. Jesus.
You call this a little insane?
Well, this is a Kelsier style plan. So he tells Ham to stay behind and to tell Vin if something happens to him. And Ham says, yeah, I will. And then I will pull out the knives that Vin has stabbed into my chest.
Also, Kelsier is a Mistborn. Elend is just some guy.
Yeah, that does make it a little
Stupid
more
plan.
insane.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
I don't think
he knows the plan's insane. He did admit that.
I don't think
Does he
Elend would disagree with you. Elend himself would say this is a stupid plan.
If I was Vin, I would be pissed off.
And she is later. So that's why he is even doing this for a city that rejected him. But he still leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Elend rides into the Koloss army on his horse and demands the Koloss bring him to see Jastes. Elend sees plenty of Koloss fighting and killing each other. He even sees some wearing some human clothes that are much too tight. The lead Koloss in his group tells Elend that they are not Koloss, they are human. They will kill his people and take and live in his city.
That was so fucking weird. That was the weirdest
That's-
shit I ever read. I've been so curious about Koloss this whole book. What we learn about them in this chapter and about the way they talk makes them even creepier than they were before.
Yeah, they're weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're human. And I was like, I was so scared. Like, you are not. You're a freakish thing. Oh,
And then another Koloss jumps and kills the leader Koloss. And he says, he was never a good leader.
Just like earlier, I think it was, I always hated him, or something like that in the first time we saw Koloss.
yeah. Like,
I thought that
you
was
can
weird
kill each
then.
other.
Yeah, I thought that was weird then, but I just thought, well, whatever. That's just, that guy was weird, This weird thing where they give some reason when they do things is the strangest shit I've ever heard.
You know what that keeps reminding me of is that part in Pirates where Elizabeth Swann hits him with a bottle and she just says, I just wanted the satisfaction of doing that myself. And it was like, oh, okay. You have
To
to
be
give
fair,
a
it
reason.
was Commodore Norrington, so he kind of deserved it.
He's one of my favorites.
Well, yeah, he's my favorite
Doesn't mean he
character,
doesn't deserve it.
He was saving him from being killed.
Yeah.
Right, and then Elend gets to the human part of the camp, and there's a clear divide between the human and the Koloss part. And then once he gets there, he has the humans lead him into the tent with Jastes. And Elend is surprised at how Jastes looks. Jastes offers Elend a drink, and Elend notices empty bottles and flasks in the corner. And Jastes brings up the old days when the two of them were innocent but hopeful. And Elend asks how Jastes became a tyrant. He answers that he is not a tyrant, just a realist. So Elend brings up the Koloss. Jastes claims that he can control them, and that the city Sosina that recently got destroyed was just an unfortunate accident. Elend gets pissed at Jastes and asks what happened to him. Jastes says that he tried to do everything that they had talked about before. He tried to do that at home in the Southern Dominance, but his rivals attacked, and they wound up killing everyone, including young girls and babies. Elend says these are what defines a man's faith. And Jastes tries to have his guards imprison Elend, but Elend informs him that he is no longer king. His assembly has deposed him. His losses aren't as hard for him as they were for Jastes, but he does understand. Elend tells Jastes to take the Koloss and leave. Luthadel was his home once, and there are thousands of people inside. Jastes hesitantly claims that I can control them. Elend asks what the Koloss have in their pouches, or what happens if one of them snaps and attacks Jastes. And Jastes just answers that he can't let Straff get the ATM. Jastes then tries to have his guards take a hold of Elend, but Elend takes them down and then jumps to Jastes and stabs him in the shoulder. He tells him that he'd kill him right now, but he doesn't know how Jastes controls the Koloss. He tells Jastes to take the Koloss and leave, and then go attack Straff or Cett's land. Elend promises that he won't let either of them get the ATM. Elend was Jastes' best friend, and he nearly killed him. So what the hell is he doing, sitting in the middle of an army of deranged Koloss? So Elend decides to leave, and he drags Jastes out of the tent with him, and keeps dragging him until they get to the line that separates the Koloss and the human portions of the camp. And Elend notices that there are not as many human guards as what Sazed had told him before.
That part was mortifying to me. I was like, oh my god. Because, a weird part of me likes to believe that Jastes has something going here, but he just does not, and that's so scary to realize.
When Elend reaches the Koloss section, he lets Jastes go, and tells the Koloss to lead him out. And Elend also notices that his horse is nowhere to be seen.
Also horrifying to me.
Or
As
horsey.
As Elend's leaving with the Koloss, he has to know what is in their pouches. So he decides to do something even crazier, and he attacks the smallest Koloss in his group and stabs it in the back. Elend realizes that he was running on adrenaline. This was a bad decision. He then stabs the Koloss in the leg. It attacks him, and he takes a slight cut in his giant sword. Elend runs up close to the Koloss, that way he's not able to use his sword efficiently. But it swings the sword and it still hits Elend in the gut with the hilt of it. But when he does that, Elend stabs in the eye, killing it. And then he tells the other Koloss that he ate my horse.
When he looks up at them and they're all looking back as if expectantly, and then he realizes, oh, they just need some justification for some reason. says he ate my horse, and they all just nod like, oh, I see. I'm like, what the hell is with these guys? I'm so curious about their rule on this thing and why they are this way. It's so strange.
It might be some old, like, political thing, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't even guess.
Like, an old culture and stuff.
Oh, yeah, something with that.
Because it feels like it's kind of based on human stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
they might just be like, we're human, we're civilized, so if you have a good reason to kill someone, that's okay, you know?
Yes, it's got to be something like that because of what Elend theorizes about why they have a king, you know? And how they, in their heads, want to be human, how they're dressing in human clothes all weird. It's just something I never would have guessed about them, you know? I am so curious about these guys now.
I know you would be.
Elend takes the pouches from the Colossus he killed and he leaves the camp. Once outside the camp, Elend looks inside and he finds out how Jastes is controlling the Colossus. He is paying them.
That was, again, probably the last thing I expected to be the answer.
Yeah. Like, this is, exactly with our theory. Like, they really want to be human. Because they're like, humans value monies and stuff, you know?
Something.
Like,
I don't know what use they'd have for them.
I know. It's not like they have shops and stuff. But they really want to live like people again, so...
I guess.
Ooh, I have a good theory about these... About them.
I think it's simple. I think they're just a wrong thing, you know? An unnatural thing that was made that is not made correctly or fully. Like, it wasn't cared about to be made well, you know?
Well, they're a mess up. But...
Well, I don't know if it's a mess up or if, like, they were just created for their strength and longevity, you know? And then when the Lord Ruler didn't need them anymore, like it said, he just kind of left them, like Vin was theorizing.
Anything else from this chapter do you want to go over?
No, I'm good.
I always like when characters start acting crazy, so I'm enjoying this Elend stuff.
I don't know what he's doing. I'm really mad at him because I feel like Vin.
He's doing exactly what he has to do.
Yeah, but I'm like, don't you care if you would get killed and stuff, and then I have to be sad about it? Also, not telling.
He's gonna get killed no matter what. The second Straff comes in, he's gonna get killed. You know.
You don't know that. There's a difference between that and marching into an enemy camp.
Anytime new people take over, they're supposed to kill all the previous people. That's just how it goes, you know.
Yeah. Well, Cett said he could just run away.
Yeah, but he's not going to.
Yeah. Has there been anything from Straff that has made you think he'll let Elend live?
Straff is his dad.
That's if Cett was even telling the truth there, you know.
They did. They didn't care if they left.
No, you don't know that.
You let them go.
Yeah, because the election hadn't happened yet. Why do you suddenly have so much trust in Cett? I'm very surprised.
Oh, I don't have trust in him. I just didn't think that he would care about killing Elend. Because to him, he's inconsequential, you know?
Inconsequential, but you never want, like, another heir or another ruler out there. You know what I mean? Because they could always show up and say, I'm in charge, and people could be like, the rightful king, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
All right, we will venture on to the last chapter we read today, chapter 43. The others call me mad. As I have said, that may be true. So the chapter begins with Vin, and she's watching Elend as he sleeps and recovers. She thinks about how she has tried so hard to protect him, and that the impossibility of even being able to keep one person safe feels real to her. She's a powerful Allomancer and has protected him from assassins, but she still feels so hopeless, so alone. And then Zane arrives, and he tells Vin that Elend isn't safe, and that there is a traitor in her midst. And he says that it was Demu. Demu had contacted Straff and offered to open up the city gates to him. Zane claims that it was Cett's work. Elend and Penrod were supposed to die, and then Straff would attack the city. Cett would take over, and using the city's army along with his own army, would defeat Straff and be seen as the savior of Luthadel. Vin contemplates this. Just because Zane said it doesn't mean it is true, but she still had doubts about Demu. And she had recognized the attacker at the assembly as being in Cett's retinue. Vin thinks about how even if Zane is lying, there is still a tyrant in the city and another outside, Kolos waiting outside, and that Elend doesn't need her. There's nothing she can do. Zane says that he can see her frustration and she keeps listening to him. Cett almost killed Elend. Elend does as he wishes, so let us do as you wish. Let's show Cett why he should fear us. Vin thinks that Elend could take insane risks after she tried so hard to protect him. It felt like a betrayal. She has to make sure the threats against him were removed. So Vin agrees to the attack. Zane says that they cannot just kill Cett. They need to hit him hard in order to terrify whomever takes over for him. He asks, WWKD, or what would Kelsier do?
I don't ever say
Oh.
that again.
My God.
New bracelets, all the rage all over Luthadel.
Oh my goodness.
I love it. Do it.
And Vin thinks that Kelsier would have never gotten into the situation because he would have killed Cett and Straff on night 1. And she can hear Reen's voice telling her that there are 2 ways to stay safe. Either be quiet and harmless so people ignore you, or be so dangerous they are terrified of you. And Vin asks Orsier for her ATM. Orsier asks her not to do this as she takes the ATM. She says that Cett threatened all that she loves, and he will soon learn there is something more powerful than Assassin's army and the Lord Ruler, and she is coming for him. Then we get a short scene of some guy named like Welland or something like that. And he's a
Some
dog.
guy. I felt so bad for this guy.
He's there and he watches as Vin and Zane show up and start killing everyone. Yeah, because pretty much Vin and Zane arrive at Keep Hastings and they fuck everyone up. They go up the building floor by floor, killing everyone with ease. Even the haste killers stand no chance. And Vin, she's not going to use the ATM she has until she faces Cett's Mistborn. So they're like shooting coins, they're filling people up with coins, they push people in armor, they use dead armored people as weapons. Vin at one point pulls on a stained glass window with Duralumin, bringing the frames and the glass in, killing a bunch of people. And then she pushes on those to hit other people, pushing them out the window, killing them. She gets up to the room where Cett's at. And when she gets in there, Cett is sitting in a chair with Njordan, his son, standing in front of him holding a dueling can. And Vin wonders which one of them is the Mistborn. Njordan tries to dig her out, but she easily beats him, throws him to the side. And Cett tells her to ignore his son and to do what she came to do. Vin demands Cett to fight her, and she throws him against a wall. She goes up to him again, and he attempts to punch her, but to no effect. She once again demands him to fight her, but he still does not stand up. Njordan steps in front of his father again, and Vin can see absolute terror in his eyes. Cett tells his son to stand aside, and that there is nothing he can do. Njordan begins to weep, and Vin realizes that she has tears on her own cheeks. And she says that Cett has no Mistborn or Allomancer. Cett answers that he sent his last Allomancers in the assassination attempt months ago.
Ulrian is the only Allomancer born into his family in the last few centuries.
Cett came to Luthadel because he knew Straff would come for him eventually.
He wanted to get the ATM so that way he can use the ATM to hire some Allomancers.
And he tells her to do what she came to do. Vin shivers, and she can barely feel anything. And then a wall just bursts open, and Zane steps through it with death at his feet. Vin goes to Zane, and she tells him to leave the 2 of them alone. She tries to grab Zane, but he moves out of his way. He is burning ATM, and likely was burning it the entire time going through the building, even though he did not need it. She asks again to leave the 2 of them, and says that he still controls her. Zane thought that if she could fight and see how powerful she is, she'd be able to shake herself from Elend's grip. Zane leaves, and Vin follows slowly. And that's where everything ends.
It's so fascinating to me that Zane's whole plan, here, is just to get her, everything he's doing against his father, launching that attack then, everything he's doing is just to get her to leave with him. That's how lonely and desperate he is.
It's not how you get girls to follow you.
I don't know. It was pretty close.
He's gonna find out eventually. That's why. Not a good long-term goal.
Yeah, but if it's before she turns him to the dark, or he turns her to the dark side, that's what matters.
Yeah, then she'll have no choice but to keep going with him. So, I guess it's alright.
It's alright?
I guess it's an alright plan if you're down with that kind of thing.
More of Sheta's relationship advice.
No, it's the same relationship advice. It goes back to the manipulation. Anything from this violent chapter you two wanted to go over?
I think it's really interesting because them busting in, killing a bunch of dudes, that's obviously like cool and fun. It's interesting that he sets the stage for how he wants us to feel about this by having just this poor guy who's like, I knew this would happen eventually, and then they all get killed, and it's just so sad. Because, the soldiers are just soldiers, so it's always so sad when you just start killing all of them, because they don't really have a lot of say in what's happening. So then they follow to describe all this badass action, but it's not written in the same heroic way as like in the previous book when Kelsier was fighting in front of the Lord Ruler. It's just brutal and horrible and unhappy.
Yeah, you don't feel like this is good. Like this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really felt that, where it's like, oh, you shouldn't do this. Like,
if Vin had done this immediately, I think it would have been more morally sound because you would have been saying, get the hell out of my city, Doing it now, she's all angry and stuff, I think is why it's so just dark. Like, she's just trying to vent out her rage and feel like she can do something, So it comes off as very dark.
She's also killing a lot of people that aren't able to do anything to defend for themselves.
Can't defend themselves, do not pose an immediate threat to anybody. Yes, they are enemy soldiers, but in another way, it feels pretty murdery and less warlike,
Yeah, they're just humans. They didn't even have any Mistborn or Allomancers, really. That was like, or Inquisitors, like it was when they were going after the Lord Ruler.
But she went in full force because she expected them to have some defenses like that,
It was like fish in a barrel.
Like, yeah, what am I doing? It's always interesting when you have your hero character kill a bunch of people in it to be a really dark, murdery thing, but you do it in a way where you're not going to judge them too much. These are still occupying soldiers, It's just an interesting feeling in a book.
And like it said, not only all that going on, but you had Zane doing it while burning him the entire time. So they pose even less of a threat.
Yeah.
That's just overkill.
Yeah, but he finally gets to listen to the voice in his head. I'm sure he's very excited about that.
I'm scared just to think of what excites Zane.
Freedom, I think.
Zane just needs to do some karaoke.
Just sing out your problems.
Yeah, I hear voices in my head. They talk to me. They understand. Just Randy Orton's
don't really understand. Music. I do have to say, a Zane played by Randy Orton would be a pretty epic thing. I don't think he has the acting chops for it, but it would still be pretty epic.
Do you really think Zane's just that muscular and built?
He's got to be pretty muscular. Maybe not at Randy Orton's level.
They said he was lean, so not muscular.
Well, for a wrestler.
All right. So if you have nothing else to say, then we'll go into the questions and predictions area. And we're getting towards the end of the book, so it's getting harder and harder to come up with questions to ask.
We can ask the same questions because we still don't know the answers to a couple of them.
Yeah, sometimes
we already...
the answers change depending on the book. Like, I have no goddamn clue who the damn traitor is.
Well, Sheta was saying that earlier that she had an idea about the Koloss. You say...
Oh, just that. What were we talking about? Oh, that they... Well, Orsier said they were kind of related to each other, like Kandra and Koloss, So I think it's something like what you were saying, Justin, about how they were created by the Lord Ruler to kind of... A thing they have in common is absorbing humans and stuff to be alive. So whatever in them
where'd
is...
that come from?
Oh, that was my old theory, that Koloss...
What? You can't just say that like that's a fact. What are you talking about?
Wait, can you repeat that, please?
That the Koloss absorb humans too, kind of like the Kandra, but instead they start eating each other when they beat them and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, but we saw that they didn't eat each other in this chapter.
They don't eat them, but they wear that same skin, right? So they wear the skin. I think they have the skin they're like created with, and no matter how big they get, the skin grows with them. Or it doesn't grow, is what I meant to say. It just stretches out. Yeah.
You can't say theories like they're facts, Shitty. You're gonna confuse people.
What? I already said it as a fact before. But yes. So they have those. I feel like there's some kind of like technical thing that he might have made up. Like the Kandra want a personality, or they don't want a personality. They just want a copy. But I think the Kolos might want to copy something else. Like they want to be human for real.
I think they're just like, created unnaturally by whatever the old magics were. And like their brains just don't work. I think it's actually I like your theory that there's like either that they're trying to act in a like normal creatures, so they think they need a reason to kill when they actually just want to, or that they have some kind of code instilled in them like Thundra have, where they're not allowed to kill without a reason, or to kill each other at least,
Yeah, it's so weird because when we first found out there was an army, we're like, what could be controlling it? It could be a magic
Mm-hmm.
amulet or something that's controlling them, but no,
Mm-hmm.
it's just really reasonable things like money and promise of land and a king. Like these are actually values that Elend holds quite a bit, like
Mm-hmm.
wanting to have law and order in when they're like acting like barbarians, which is very
Mm-hmm.
crazy. It's very interesting that they would want that stuff or value stuff like money and a king and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think Elend should just be king of the Kolos. I think they would like him.
Look at what's happening with King of the Kolos. The guy's army has been eaten. He's drinking all the time to help his nerves. A city accidentally got eaten and destroyed, Like, he keeps saying, I can control them. He can't control anything,
Yeah, because he's a bad king. Elend would know how to speak to them.
There's no speaking to him. I think he's a hostage, I think they've decided he's their king because he's gave them some money, and now he has no way out, and he's stuck with this shit,
Yeah, but I think if they value stuff like good values, I think Elend could talk to them.
Why do you think they have good values? I think they have the exact opposite.
Because they aren't just murdering for nothing. I think they might have gotten mad that they weren't moving forward, and that's why they attacked that city. I don't think they were mad.
I think that it's just a glitch. I really think it's just a glitch of nature, I don't believe they have a code or honor because they all look so bored at all times.
That's why I think Elend would be good, because Elend would give them a code that they would really resonate with,
I think you're expecting more of them than I do. I think that's what it is.
Because I'm amazed at them for wanting money and wanting a reason for murdering and stuff like that.
I think it's fascinating. Like yeah.
They just kill without reason, without thinking. That is a very specific thing.
See, things that kill without reason or thinking, I would trust more because they're just being how they are. This is weird. I don't trust this at all.
I think they're a vessel waiting to be filled with good values.
Okay, Sheta. We'll see.
All right. So when Vin soothed Orseer with that Duralumin push and hurt him, why would soothing affect a Kandra and cause him pain?
Okay, well, what does soothing do? It just
soothes.
Moves your emotions, right?
It soothes you.
I think...
Because it'd be an extreme version, or it'd be some unique way it affects a Kolos. Or not a Kolos, a Kandra.
I don't know. I think a Kolos... Or sorry. A Kandra's nature is to be... Is it to mimic another person's thoughts and feelings? I wonder if they don't have that ability, and doing that really messes with them. Ability to have your own feelings.
Well, I'd say Orseer has his own feelings,
Yeah, I think it's just... I think it's just a lot for them. I don't think they can handle that. I don't know why I'm thinking of like computers or phones that have a lock on them, and that when you press against that, it really hurts. It really is forceful. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that even means. What you're saying? You've lost me.
I can't express it in words, but it's just a feeling.
Yeah. Okay, let me come up with an idea just for the sake of this. So it'd have to be something that the way their minds work, or their souls or whatever work, is more dependent on what we would call feelings. Like, that's more of their life force, because they don't die from physical damage. They just absorb new bones, you know? So it has to be something where their life force is what we would call our emotions or something, or it's able to touch that in some way. That's all I could think of.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. So Sheta already said that she still thinks Ham's the secret Contra. So Justin, we'll go to you. What's your current thoughts on who the secret
Man,
Contra is?
I have no freaking clue. I don't know. It's just going to wind up being something cheap, like one of those guys that we just re-met from the previous book.
I know. I was like, it better not be what's his name from the first book who gave up his badge to help them, or this new guy, like the old venture spy master. Like, I don't want it to be him.
I really, really don't even have a good guess.
All right.
So I don't know. She just got me infected with her ham theory, even though I don't personally think it's that. I'm infected with it. I can't not
Infected
think
or
of it.
convinced, Justin.
Infected is the word I chose.
Every little bit, like I was rereading or looking at the last chapter in the part where even Breeze notices something weird about Ham. Like he's not really being
See,
his usual
you
self.
say it,
Like,
and there's just enough evidence that I can't not consider it. You know.
I am so curious. I wonder if these things are thrown in here on purpose or if I'm just crazy. Like I'm just reading things in the shadows. Like
Either way,
I
it
think I'm
worked
just.
because the book wants you to be a bit paranoid. You know.
That's what I'm saying. Did he do that on purpose to make me paranoid, or am I just paranoid naturally? Like, I'm finding stupid things. I think I'm just finding stupid things, but I'm still gonna hold on to my theory.
All right. So next, so we got some more stuff with Vin and Elend and Vin and Zane. Alaska, once again, will she leave the city with Zane?
She will, but not for the reasons of choosing.
I think it will be really sad when she leaves. It won't be the way I like it. I'll be really sad.
No, 100% it won't be.
Yeah,
And
it's gonna be all dramatic.
Mhm.
Like he doesn't love
I
me
believe
anymore,
so.
or she doesn't
No.
love me. I'm not king. Like
Not that,
I
but
guess we'll just break up then. Okay, and then he leaves.
I don't think it's going to be like that.
and what's going to be the fallout of the attack on Cett?
Cett's going to join their team. He's going to have respect for her for being tough and have no choice.
Really?
That's what I think. Otherwise, what else would this be? They've already got his daughter on their side, you know.
Mm.
He's a bastard. He just wants power, but, you know, he also probably respects strength, you know.
Interesting. You know what? He might, yeah. If he finds out that Strath and the other guy have teamed up, he might team up with them. Yep.
But then, how would Elend feel with having having Cett join because Vin goes in and kills a shit ton of people?
Oh, he's not going to like it. No.
Who
Ellen's
cares what
either
Elend
going to be
feels? He gets to
upset
do what
or
he
completely
wants.
understanding.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other theories or predictions either one of you two want to throw out there?
Oh, I have one. I might have brought it up before, but it was because I was looking for my quote today, and I saw that Elend's name is spelled Elend. I was like, that is exactly how Elendi is spelled. It just has one I in it.
Elendi
And I
spelled
wonder
with an
if
Elendi starts with an
what?
A.
Really?
Yeah,
Well,
it does.
maybe that's just old timey language.
Unlike, I
wonder
didn't
if
want to
it's
steal your thunder there, shit.
I should have checked to see how Elendi was spelled. I spelled it with an E all this time, so there's my theory. That
What's your
Elend is
theory? You didn't say it.
He's the new hero of ages.
Oh, okay.
Ben's gonna think it's me, but Sazed is gonna be like, it's actually Elend. And she's
And then they're
be
going to
like,
rearrange the letters like some really cheesy twist. Is that what you're saying?
like, I am Voldemort. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, but have you gone back to look at the prophecies to see if they fit Elend?
That would be
No.
what you'd need to check.
Let's do that right now.
No. No. You do that on your own time.
Anything
I
else?
have no batshit insane theories.
You can just have normal ones.
I don't have normal ones either.
Oh, the Inquisitor walking around town is Marsh.
Yeah, that I do find likely.
I was like, are you lost, Marsh? Like, the castle's this way. But he's been being weird this whole time, so.
Yeah, but if he's in Luthadel, why hasn't he gone to see everyone else?
Why did he leave Sazed in the middle of nowhere? Like, same reason. I think he's, like, investigating something. You know what? I think he might be looking for the ATM or something. And he's just on his own little, like, private side mission. He's gonna show up in the nick of time, be like, hey guys, here's all the ATMs. It's like, oh, great job, Marsh.
No. But if he's on a side mission, I think that it's going to tie into the kind of stuff that's happening with that, or what will lead into the third book, you know. I mean, it would make sense for Marsh to disappear for the whole book, though, and just come out of nowhere with a weighted win or whatever, so maybe.
And to tell us who the Condra is at last.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't, I'm gonna be really mad now, because I am so sure that he will reveal that to us.
You shouldn't even be sure we're going to learn who the Condra is. For all we know, it'll be like, it doesn't matter who the Condra is. We're all friends.
Oh my god.
That is one of the worst endings I have heard of. I will say, there have been some batshit crazy theories. That's got to be the worst. One of us is an evil spy, but it never matters who it is. We're all friends.
It's not evil. We know they're not evil. They're just following orders. And do we really want to confirm that our good friend is dead just to know who the Condra is?
So we'll just have faith that no matter who it is, we just accept them.
We accept them as who they say they are.
And then the Condra will be like, you know what? I really like being Spook. I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Yep.
Like that.
Yep. Spook's memory lives on in you.
Yeah.
As I said, probably the worst theory we've had on this podcast so far.
You just say that because it was such an unpopular ending when it's what's written.
Oh. All right. Well, now we'll go on to our characters and quotes of the week.
Okay. I guess I'll go first. All right. Yeah, it's the part where Sazed and Tindwyl are talking to Elend after he catches them in the act. And he's like, did I do the right thing, like telling the truth and losing the crown? And there's a back and forth. And Sazed goes, okay, it is not my position to judge truth, Lord Venture, Sazed says, smiling. I simply carry it. Elend sighed. Priest, he thought, sometimes talking to Sazed is like talking to an obligator. Elend, Tindwyl says, her tone softening, I think you handled this situation in the wrong way. However, Sazed does have a point. You were true to your own convictions, and that is a regal attribute, I think. And what should I do now? He asked. Whatever you wish, Tindwyl said. It was never my place to tell you what to do. I simply gave you knowledge of what men in your place did in the past. And what would they have done? Elend asked. These great leaders of yours. How would they have reacted to my situation? It is a meaningless question, she said. They would not have found themselves in this situation, for they would not have lost their titles in the first place. Was that what it is about then? Elend asked. The title? Isn't that what we are discussing? Tindwyl asked. Elend didn't answer. And then he thinks of the quote, what do you think makes a man a good king? He at once asked of Tindwyl. Trust, she replied. A good king is one who is trusted by his people and who deserves that trust. Elend stood up. Thank you, Tindwyl, he said. And then Tindwyl is confused, and she's like, and Sazed's like, I don't know, and then Elend gets to work being a king again. I just thought it was interesting that Tindwyl just kind of said all these facts, and Elend had to find his way to be a king in his own way, like in the way that he would do it. Like, despite all these strict rules that Tindwyl was saying before, like, she kind of just gave him that, and now he has the option to be a king in his own way, in the way he would be. I thought that was really interesting. I never thought of it like that. The whole time he was battling that he had to be someone else to be a good king, but now he's finding a way to be his idea of a good king, which is a good king, you know. What are you saying, Justin?
Oh, I agree with you. I found that part very interesting for the same reasons. And it's interesting that he's now kind of outgrowing Tindwyl a bit, you know. Like he's starting to figure things out in his own way.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that Tindwyl is so wise because she has all this knowledge, but she doesn't really know those things, you know. Like Elend is the one in those situations having to make those choices, you know, and following his instinct, you know. So.
Yeah, she just knows the history and what other people have done and stuff.
Yes, yeah. So, in a way, it's just like a tool, and you still have to find your way. It's not a paint by numbers thing. I really like it.
My quote of the week comes from Elend when he's talking to Jastes, and Jace is saying, you know...
Jastes,
sorry. They killed everyone, yada yada. Just Elend saying, it's easy to believe in something when you win all the time, Jastes. The losses are what define a man's faith. I just think that's an interesting, you know, true idea, and also really true to Elend's character, where he has been following what's right the whole time instead of what's, you know, easy or would let you win. And though it's hard to say that to somebody like Jastes, who's lost everything, you know, I do believe that if the same happened to Elend, he would still be trying his best to think this way, you know, to think about what's right. All right. I mean, that's what speaks to a hero, too. Like a good guy character. They don't do what is best. They do what is good, what is right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and Elend is a good person.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My quote comes from Elend and Ham talking to each other.
You mean Elend and the Khandra?
The Khandra and Ham, Sheta.
Ham shook his head as he turned to look over the groups of men, listening to the men Elend had appointed to give orders. He's changed, Elend thought. Run the city, dealing with all this, it's even changed him. The thug was more solemn now, more focused. Of course, he had even more stake in the city's safety than the rest of the crew. It was sometimes hard to remember that the free-spirited thug was a family man. Ham tended not to talk much about Mardra or his children. Elend suspected it was a habit. Ham had spent much of his marriage living apart from his family in order to keep them safe. The whole city is my family, Elend thought, watching the soldiers leave do their work. Some might have thought something as simple as gathering firewood to be a mundane task of little relevance in a city threatened by 3 armies, but Elend knew that the freezing Ska people would receive the fuel with as much appreciation as they would salvation from the armies. The truth was that Elend felt a little like his soldiers did. He felt a satisfaction, even a thrill, from doing something, anything, to help. So, just like Justin's, it shows Elend is a good person, caring about how the people are, you know, make sure they're warm and fed and all that, instead of only worrying about the armies. Second thing is also, that section also gives a little bit of characterization with Ham and reminding us about his family and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also liked that part for what it said about Elend. Well, I want to say the assembly chose against Elend, and he's all bitter about that. But I'm like, really, what were you offering them? Just words, you know? Like, they all knew they were going to get invaded. And what?
Yeah, and his values, you know?
Yeah, but the values aren't worth much, just like Cett said, in the face of imminent death and fear, you know?
Yes, we are at war now. I think it worked fine when they were just, like, hanging out, but now it's like...
Everyone likes values when everything's safe, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting for Elend to start kind of realizing what he was doing wrong, but not in the way Tilde's said, or... Not in the way everyone else is saying, where it's like, oh, you should have done this or that thing that everyone does, but in the way where he's like, I should do what I think I should do instead, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Elend Moore learns how to be a king and becomes a better king after he loses the crown.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
Because he's a shitty king, in my opinion. I just think
you don't really love something till you let it go. So that's what's gonna happen with Vin and him.
Oh god. What is with you in that?
Now I have another song in my head for their relationship.
Don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah, oh, it is. You never love the light till it's burning low. Never see the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go. Everyone's heard that song.
I haven't.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
Ah, it played every day in that 1 year, and then it didn't ever played again.
So, how many times would I have heard that on my local rock stations?
What's
'Cause-
if it's I don't know.
Zero.
I'll
Played
tell
on
you.
every
The answer
Zero.
is 0.
I don't know. What are you listening to? 93? Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Local, like, hard rock. Or sometimes
Wow.
classic rock.
What song did? Yeah, I can't think of any song that played recently that I was like, why is this playing on this station?
If anyone's getting off topic now, Sheta, it's that.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
All right. So, let's jump
Also,
to...
I'll use my inspiration to cut that part where I was singing off the.
Nope, that's stuck in, Sheta.
No, that part was great.
Everyone knows you sing now.
No,
She sang during the launch.
Did
I
you?
actually sing quite a bit. I think I sang
Jeez.
last session too, because I also had a song with another couple.
No, you just said
Yep.
the name of a song. No, during
No,
the
I
launch,
sing-
she turned I will show you the world as Raoden's showing Sereni new Elantris.
Oh no. Oh god. I'd forgotten. Oh no. Sheta, you know everyone in the world could hear this if they want, right?
Oh,
And not just
no.
now, you know for the rest of your life this will be out there.
Let's go to characters.
I'm just gonna go with Elend this chapter because he stormed into a Colas camp and very recklessly attacked one. That's my kind of stuff.
That was pretty hot of him to do.
Yes, and that's
It's
the
not
reason
worth
I picked him, because it was so hot.
Sheta, you were saying the entire time you're pissed.
I am, but at the same time, I'm like, wow, that's really ballsy of you. Why? Like, it's like when the nerdy guy punches the bully or something. You're like, I didn't know you could even punch. But he did all this, like, combat stuff.
So Ellen's George McFly in this.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, where did you learn all those moves? And he just looked much cooler compared to his old friend Jastes, who was, like, just sad.
Who wouldn't look cooler compared to him?
This kind of reminded me of like a high school reunion almost, where you're like, oh yeah, my friend did not like fare well these past couple years, you know? Where you're like all kingly and you did pretty good for yourself. Like I will pick Elend as well as my favorite character for those reasons. He really came to his own. The quote I said to finding out how to be a real king, helping the people in real ways, like with fire, shelter, and warm clothes during the winter, and making big moves to try to help. So.
Well, my character's going in a completely different tangent. Instead of picking somebody because they look good and strong and heroic, I'm picking Zane for being a manipulative dick.
No.
For lying to Vin, manipulating her in order to getting her to attack Cett and kill a lot of people.
I can't believe he did that. I didn't.
What?
I was. Really
I can believe he did that.
I really put myself in Vin's shoes, where like I kind of like him. He's kind of cool. So I did not know I was being lied to until you guys were saying that. Because I was like, "Am I being lied to?"
No. Oh my goodness, no,
Like-
Sheta, that's horrible.
Even when I saw the evidence that he told his dad, Straff, a different thing, I thought maybe he's not
Well,
lying to me.
In that part,
Like-
I was wondering if he did like just take them somewhere and he wasn't part of the attack because it was kind of weird, you know. It was when he started saying stuff to Vin about just when he started talking to her, it was so obviously untrue what he was saying.
When he was like, "Oh yeah, Demus the Khandra," and I was like,
Oh yeah,
But-
that was it. Yeah.
"He's not. Like, you know who the Khandra is, you know? Like it's his Khandra." So
Well, it said he has a spy in here.
Yeah, which I guess I just assumed it was the contrast.
Yeah, so do I,
That's just-
but
All
I'm
right.
starting to think he's not a good love interest.
really.
Yeah.
The man
I'm
who
starting to
God
think he-
tells to kill everyone he sees at all times.
Everyone has issues. I just thought he could be fixed.
Huh. Well,
Well, maybe he still can. He can still come clean about that. I was like, I don't know why I lied to you, Vin. I just wanted you to be with me.
okay, stop. I hate this. I hate
I
it
could
so
convince.
much.
I could.
I mean, Vegeta killed a lot more people than Zane, and he got a redemption arc.
Vegeta
Yeah.
is not insane. He comes from a culture where that's normal. That's very different.
Well, Zane was raised on the streets. That's different too.
No, he
When
wasn't.
you use that voice, I know you're full of horse shit, Sheta, so I'm not engaging.
All right. Any last words you two want to give about these chapters before we...
Jeez, don't make it sound so
Move on.
ominous.
Any last words?
Yeah, Jesus. No,
No.
none from me.
All right. So next week, we'll be reading, I believe it's 5 chapters again. Chapters 44 through 48. Once again, that's 44 through 48. All right, so now we'll end the episode off with our plugs and shit. So have at it.
Plug number 1. Follow Profanity Beaver on places with pictures on the internet such as X, Instagram, DeviantArt, or Patreon. And you can see pictures of Profanity Beaver art. Plug number 1 complete.
Wow. No, I'm not gonna do that same format.
All right, so plug number 2, go.
Oh my god. Hey, you can follow my pictures on my handle is Sheta_low. I just have an Instagram. I also have a DeviantArt, but I haven't put all my stuff on there. Same handle. And if you want to see costumes, cosplay, fashion, my other Instagram is a mermaid machete. Hopefully, I will be posting up my Halloween costumes on there since it's October now. Also, keep following Instagram for our Inktober's, which is going on all through October.
All right, plug number 2 complete. All right, so plug number 3, engage. So yeah, if you want to talk about Cosmic Chronicles stuff on its own, on different places that you listen to, you might be able to leave comments. Some of them you might be able to rate and review us. Do that, it will help us. And we will read those comments and reviews on here when we get them. If your place doesn't allow you to do that, then you can simply email us at cosmirchronicles@gmail.com. And we will once again read those. You might even be able to fit more on those. Or if you want to contact us on Key, a Most Ancient Letter, formerly known as Twitter, you can do that at Cosmirchron, CosmerChron. And yeah, I believe that's everything for those plugs. So that's going to be it for this episode. Once again, chapters 44 through 48 next week. So yeah, that'll be it, everyone. Go out for a good old throwback. I'll tell you all to go out and eat some White Castle. And goodbye.
Goodbye.
No, I can't say goodbye too. Okay, go eat White Castle. Goodbye.